Greetings, artists. Today I'm going to talk about adding color to our color theory project. In a moment I will talk about what supplies you're going to need, but first I want to talk about your choices for color. So you are going to choose a color scheme, either analogous, which I'm going to talk about right now. Analogous is three colors that are together on the color wheel, like orange, red, and red violet would be one example. The example I'm going to use for mine is right down here: blue, green, and green. It's three colors that are together on the color wheel. Your other choices, this is all talking about analogous, would be monochromatic. Monochromatic means one single color. So it's one color plus white, one color plus black, one color plus gray. So you can take one single color like red, and you can add varying levels of white and black to make numerous different shades or tints of red. So it's either going to be, you're going to choose analogous colors, or you're going to choose monochromatic, and that will determine what kind of paint you need. Now I'm going to switch over to my document camera so I can talk to you about supplies. Supplies for this project. Yesterday you would have drawn your continuous line to create your design on your paper, and then you will need liquid tempera. You're going to need, if you're using analogous colors, you're going to need 3 colors of paint on your palette. Like I said, I chose blue, green, and then blue-green or teal. Those are the 3 colors I'm going to use. If I chose monochromatic, I would still have 3 colors of paint on my palette, but it would be one single color out of the bottle, like blue, and then I would have white and black. And then I would use that white and black to mix lots of different shades and tints of blue. The other supplies you'll need 2 different sizes of brush. You'll need like a larger brush and a small brush, and then you'll need to rotate between those 2 tools depending on what size the area that you're painting in is. You want to choose the correct tool for the job. Finally, you're going to need a water bucket and a paper towel. With this liquid tempera, we don't ever want to get any of this water into the paint because we want this paint to be solid or opaque. We don't want it to be see-through, so we don't want to add extra water to it. Now, my job is going to be to paint inside the entirety of my design area. Now, I'm going to choose that anything that's outside my background, I might not paint that entire thing. So I might only paint half of it. I might not paint any of it at all. It just depends on where it takes me as I start to paint. And I will decide as the artist when it's finished. If I want to paint the entire paper, not leave any white, that's okay too. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my green, and I'm just going to start pulling my brush across the paper and filling in different areas with my green. Now, I would recommend using one single color in all the spaces where you want that color to be first. It's going to be a lot better use of your time if you are just using one color at a time instead of painting green, washing, painting blue, washing, painting teal, washing, and so on and so forth. So this will just make my job as an artist go a lot quicker, and I'll be able to get more painting done. Now, if I'm using monochromatics, I'm going to be blending or mixing each color that I'm creating. And so that might take me just a little bit longer. I might not get as much painted in one day as someone doing analogous colors because they don't have to mix as much. If I am doing analogous colors, I can still mix the paints that are on my palette. Like for instance, right now I just have 3 colors. I've got green, blue, and blue-green. If I wanted to mix them a little bit and make a 4th color, that would be fine too. That would still fall inside the analogous color scheme. So I'm going to paint one more area green, and then I'm going to switch. And I might come back and add more green later, but I want to get my demo done quickly so that you have more time to paint. I don't want you to spend your entire art time watching me paint my paper. All right, when I wash, it's really super important that I scrub at the bottom of my bucket, and I want to make sure I'm keeping all the water inside my bucket while I'm doing that. I don't want to tap my brush because that sends dirty water everywhere. I can wipe it here on the side, And then it's super important for me to make sure that I get my brush nice and dry. If I touch that paper towel and there's paint on it, that tells me my brush needs to go back in the bucket and be scrubbed better because I did not get it clean enough the first time. All right, I'm switching over to my teal, my blue-green, and I'm going to paint in all the areas that I want to be blue-green. Again, if I want to leave the entire background white, that's absolutely fine. With this design, it actually balances pretty well to have the inside of your design painted and the outside plain. So I will completely leave that up to you. I'm going to paint one more section blue-green and then switch to blue. And I'll still have lots of space open or available on my paper, but again, I want to be respectful of your time and let you use your art time to actually paint and not waste your time by you watching me paint my entire paper. I will still, after I finish my demo video, I will still complete my painting. That way you can see it up on the board and see what my finished piece looks like. But yours absolutely does not need to look like mine. I want yours to look like yours. All right, so again, I'm scrubbing, wiping excess water and drying. And I'm going to grab some more paint. And you'll notice that I'll move quite a bit of paint over to the large sections when I paint. That way I'm not having to go back and forth as much. Just be careful that you don't want to get too much paint on your paper. Once it's there, it's kind of hard to move it back to your plate. I'm just trying to save myself time by moving the paint over in advance. And you want to really go slow. Try your best to stay inside your lines, but you'll notice even while I'm giving my demo, I've had lots of practice and I'm still getting outside the lines, and it's not a big deal. You just want to try your best to make it look neat. But accidents are going to happen, and I'm just going to be okay with it on my paper. I'm going to be okay with those oops and just go with it. Once my painting is dry, if it really does bother me, I could go back over my black lines with a Sharpie, if that's something that would make me feel better about my finished piece of art, but it's absolutely not necessary. Sometimes painting is tricky to get inside small spaces. And you'll notice even while I'm saying that, I just broke one of the rules for this project because I probably should have switched my tool. I should have switched over to this smaller brush. So I will do that for this last section that I have, because that big brush was just too big to fit inside that spot that I was trying to use it in. And I made a bit of a mess. And so one of our learning targets for this project is choosing the correct tool for the job. And I should know that if I'm going to paint in a very small area, that I want to do so with a smaller brush. All right, when I'm finished, I just make sure that I get my brushes scrubbed really, really well at the bottom of my bucket. I left a couple areas open. I'm still going to paint some of my background, and I'm going to paint this area in. But I'm going to, oop, that tells me my brushes were not clean, so I'm going to let them soak again. Again, you are choosing one of two color schemes. You're either choosing analogous, which is 3 colors that are together on the color wheel, or monochromatic, which is one single color, and then you mix it with white to make tints, black to make shades, and you are just going to paint inside the areas that you created when you made your drawing. Happy creating!